I'm a condensed matter physicist, and I decided to do condensed matter physics. The first year I learned quantum mechanics because I found it fascinating by itself. But then, after becoming a researcher and understanding better the insights of the electrons in the materials, I realized that there is a strong connection of what is happening in the material and what is happening in the universe. So a material by itself, it's like its own universe, and there are physical phenomena that we can measure, in particular related to topology, which is my field of research, that can be measured as well in these big objects of the universe, like the gravitational anomaly, that if we would like to measure it outside the Earth, it should be measured in the contour of a black hole, which is impossible, as we know. But we can measure the same effect using topology, by means of topology in a material. And I find this connection really, really wonderful. So quantum mechanics is very anti-intuitive for everyone, not only general public, also for us. And the entanglement that I mentioned is based in two principles. One is superposition. So superposition comes from the fact that at the atomic level, electrons are particles, but they are also waves. And in the same way as when you play a piano, you can press one key and you hear one sound, you press another key and you hear the other sound. When you press two keys, you hear the superposition of both sounds. So the same happens with waves. An electron can be here, or it can be somewhere else, but it can also be in both places at the same time. And this is what is called superposition. And the second one is the Pauli principle. Electrons are very interesting particles because they hate each other. So they don't like to be in the same state in the similar state with other electrons. This doesn't happen with bosons, for example. They can all of them be in the same ground state with the same energy, and they are fine. But electrons are not fine. So each electron in a material has to be in a different energy level. So we can identify energy levels as zeros and one. Is how we encode information, because they also allow for superposition. They can be in two levels at the same time. So this really accelerates the computation because we can use it to transmit information and memories. Since like 5 years ago, more or less, when Google launched the first quantum computer, there was a breakthrough. There was a breakthrough because it was proved that something that was only realizable in a lab had become like a market product. So that really pushed especially the funding and interest of companies on quantum technologies. And now Amazon is also involved, Microsoft is also involved, IBM is also involved. Everyone has their own qubits, but they all want to build quantum computers. And now what we need to do is write algorithms and design new qubits that could reproduce all the logic gates, and that they don't need to be so big in order to have a good performance. So the research for quantum technologies is going a little bit in that direction. In the Basque Country, we have a critical mass in condensed matter physics that goes back to the Pedro Echenique's project. He wanted to have a long-term investment in science because he knew that in order to create a critical mass in a community and an environment where you need to be motivated. I mean, it's very important in order to be a scientist to be motivated and somehow in love with your work, because we work too much. So he knew that the environment and the community was very important. But you cannot create that in 1 year. It has to be a long-term investment. And the DIPC was created in 2005. And it's 20 years later, and he did it. But also the Basque government has a clear plan of investing in science through Iker Basque Foundation. And there are also calls to I mean, you need to keep your community, so you cannot just cut the funding and say, okay, and now we don't support you anymore. So the support has to be constant. But now we have a very strong community in the Basque Country, and we interact internationally with many powerful groups.